It isn't actually the conversation that's difficult. It's the emotional loading that makes the conversation difficult. Time and again, when I enter into dialogue with leaders and the topic at hand is how to have accountability conversations, what always comes out in their language is these are really difficult, hard, sensitive conversations. And so I, in coaching, will ask them what makes them hard and difficult. And there's often a pause here because to be objective and think about an answer requires pause. Most of the time, what's happening is people are just using these descriptive words when it comes to accountability conversations. They're defaulting to saying difficult. And when we break down what is an accountability conversation, what is discovered quite quickly is they aren't difficult. They're not complex. There aren't a bunch of steps that are hard to execute on. What is discovered is what makes it hard is the emotional loading. What I think other people might think of it, of having the conversation, what they might feel in the conversation, that they might not like the conversation, that they might not like me in the conversation. And so the first thing we have to ask ourselves is like, why wouldn't somebody like you when you're having a conversation about performance, about an expectation that was violated or a promise that was broken, about asking them like, hey, I was expecting this. I noticed that would happen. Why wouldn't people like that? Why is that going to be hard for people? Why are we making the assumption that there's a problem with it? That assumption, that loading it, is what's making it come out wrong when we start. We're loading it right from the beginning. We're telling the other person, whether we know it or not, that this is going to be uncomfortable for you. This is going to be uncomfortable for me. Too bad. It's just going to be uncomfortable. So let's try to do this anyways. And if we just take some time to stop making these things so loaded before we actually even start the conversation, then our chances of starting the conversation better are going to go up. And when we start conversations better, we usually have conversations better, which means they end better. And when it comes to leadership, accountability conversations are something that we have to do all the time, which is also the second problem. People aren't doing accountability conversations all the time. They're only doing them when something goes wrong. See, when I set an expectation like as a leader and the person executes on the expectation, I should be having an accountability conversation. We just call that praise. When someone violates an expectation or misses an expectation, it's still an accountability conversation. I'm now finding out what went wrong. And then we're trying to coach and provide solutions and incorporate scaffolding so that that error, that mistake, that going wrong doesn't happen again. If as a leader, we're approaching it in this way, a holistic view, that we're always talking about expectations, accountabilities, whether it's praise or opportunity for growth and development, then we'll probably stop loading it so heavily with emotion, thinking we only have these conversations when something goes wrong.